In His Shadow by meniekeime. Chapter 31. Draco's Point of View. I was laying in my bed, rethinking the last weeks. After our mating, Harry did not go through the honeymoon heat like most other omegas. Luckily, I had looked up his condition, finding out that because he has a heat disorder, he doesn't go through an extremely arousing and fertile heat, but something called a submissive proof. Basically, he did everything for me to complete that. He wasn't as fertile as other omegas. For a whole week, he fed me, washed me, catered to the scratch marks I had from our time together. He even shaved me. Once I tried to stop him, I felt a bit silly when he tucked me in. But after he had started to cry for an hour, apologizing for being useless and making me mate with him, which is not true, I let him do it. But Harry and I weren't the only ones to mate on the Christmas night. Victor and Neville didn't leave the room until it was time to return home to England for the holidays. And Victor looked completely spent, but happy. He was a beta and must have cost him all his energy to keep up with Neville's sex drive during his heat. Sadly, the two had to separate for the holidays as Victor had to do an important exam for his position as a beta brother. Neville had to return to England because Victor wanted him to be looked after, especially as he was most likely pregnant with their first child. I had reminded Victor that he better pass the exam if he wanted to care for his mate and their baby, and we went back to London. Harry didn't leave my lap for the whole time on the ship, and I decided that before I would return to Malfoy Manor, I would bring him home and into the arms of his parents, and hopefully not get killed by his father. With Neville holding my hand and Harry on my arms, I knocked on the door of Black Manor with my feet. Not a second after, Remus opened the door, ripping Harry out of my hands, patting his head and growling at me. The only thing missing was his licking Harry's face clean. To Remus, Harry must still be a pup, so he treated him as such. I was only able to give him a quick kiss before Remus ran upstairs, most likely to hide Harry in his nest. I would be surprised that Sirius was allowed to enter the room in the next couple of days, or if he had to sleep on the couch. Poor guy. Come inside, Sirius said, chuckling at the behavior of his mate. He congratulated Neville on his mating, confirming that Neville indeed smelled pregnant. But then he caught my smell. Draco Malfoy, did you mate with my son? He asked angrily, but I stood my ground. If I was to back away, it would have proven his point of me not being suited for his son. Indeed, we have been both agreed to it. Good. You can keep your dick for now. I hope you didn't get him pregnant. He looked at the nutcracker in the center of the room, suggestively. I shook my head. I did not. I am not ready to support a child, as I am still a student, but I have gotten a job offer from the ministry already, and I will be taking my father's place in June. I have a manor ready for when he graduates, and we will be able to live together. Sirius looked me in the eye. Well, good. We will talk about these matters in June again. Until then, happy holidays. I thought I had survived the worst, but coming home was far worse, because we didn't trust his grandmother not to hand him over to Dumbledore. I had never spent the holidays in my place. When I entered the manor, I was first greeted by Willie and Toppy. Father jumped me. Draco, you're finally home, he said, giving me a hug, and then he noticed Neville. At that moment, I wasn't sure if he had a grown alpha male in front of me or a teenage girl. He started to gush over Neville, talking about how cute, tiny, adorable he was, and so on, and how he needed to eat. During dinner, he stuffed Neville's plate with twice the amount of food that the poor boy would be able to eat, saying that pregnant boys should eat a lot and look after himself. Am I going to act the same way when Harry is going to get pregnant? I asked my father, a bit scared of the future. He shrugged his shoulders. Maybe. It's just that Neville is the son I never had. Father! I shot at him. He just chuckled. Omega, son I never had. Now don't act like that. I'm happy that I have you, Draco. But I'm just excited to have an Omega in my manor after almost 18 years. talking about omegas, Father. I started running to tell him about mating with Harry. What is it? He asked, looking at me. Draco fucked Harry after he got jealous over a dildo I gave Harry last Christmas. All Malfoys on the table spit out the food. Draco, you did what? Oh, now. Never unleashed the mama bear in him. After a 2-hour lecture about safe sex and how to cheat an omega, he broke into tears because his baby's growing up so fast. Jesus, what did I get myself into? End of chapter 31.